Hey, how's it going? I don't really have anything that I was going to talk about in particular. Lots of stuff on my mind, though. And then something funny happened when I was pulling out some cards. I do have some cards this time. So, the first card I have is from the Declarations of Mary Magdalene. And it says, "Presence is present when one is surrendered in the now." That is such a useful message, I think, because to me, it's saying here and now is where the things that matter are happening. And we tend to start thinking ahead and then projecting all kinds of possibilities, which I don't know how to say this like succinctly, but when you start a thought, whether you stick with it or not, you started a progression, even another reality or dimension. Maybe reality is the best word, but you create a new landscape, and then if you stay there and still deal with it, that's like good, I guess, but less known is what happens when you start something you've basically given life to and wander off. So I've talked about it before in the past. Like, it kind of like drops off a cliff after there. Like, if you don't pursue it, that's the end of it, I guess, for you. But I have learned in the past that once you start it, it's going to continue whether you're there to pay attention to it or not. And perhaps the not paying attention is how things that happen that shouldn't to people individually or as a group, because something got started, like an instigator starts a fight and then runs off once everybody else is fighting, so they can either watch from a distance or just split so they're not implicated. That is a pretty rat's-ass way to behave, in my opinion. So anyway, back to here and now, because that's what the real reality of any situation is the here and now, because the past already happened. You have limited choices and even effectiveness in doing anything to change it. There are ways, but you have to sort of learn the correct state of mind to be able to even begin to contemplate those things. And so it's much neater if you just maintain presence. Stay in the present, in the here and now. And then, it works the same way for the future too. Like, you can get lost going down rabbit holes, I guess you could say, trying to project or guess what the future is going to hold. And I know that I'm sitting here using a form of divination. Well, I mean, that I would suggest you use in moderation, Complicated, I'm not going there. But here and now, because like the past, until it's happening, you can't really do anything about the future. I mean, the future is every second. Like, every second that comes next after the last one is the future. The way you fix your past is not to do anything in the present that you will regret in the future. That's the simplest way I can put that. So, yeah, here and now. But then you live in the world and there's all this stuff going on, and people are doing all of those things in the past and the present that I was talking about, and maybe neglecting the present, like walking away from your own business and getting caught up in stuff that's not even really yours, might only minutely affect you. Anyway, I have some cards, so here we go. The first one, they're from the, what is this? the Gemstone Whispers deck. And you'll see. The first card is, I don't know how to pronounce this right, so here we go. Shugulite. And it is a crystal, or a gemstone. It's beautiful. I love those colors. It looks like there's I should say, eye right there. Kind of makes me think of a bird's eye, because they often have like a ring of, it looks like leathery, kind of tougher skin. Well, I don't know, tougher than what, because birds are usually covered with feathers, but it does seem like a coarser thing on the birds, and then they have like these giant eyes that seem to have no pupil, you know. Anyway, of course the bird eye is not usually surrounded with some kind of rock. It's got a bird attached to the rest of it normally. I don't know what I'm talking about. So anyway, the subtitle on the card is Star, and it says, I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. That actually is a good way to put it, because as a child you are afraid of the dark, and then you may or may not grow out of it, or it might get better for you to a degree, but what you start to realize as you get older is it's harder to see what's done in the dark, and that is why the darkness could also just be out of sight, like out of eyes view. It doesn't have to be like at night. It could be noontime, and then something is happening in like a cellar where it's darker than outside. There's no windows maybe, and you know, I mean, it could be literal or it could be a metaphor. But the thing is, as you go to adulthood, and some people even have to learn this as children, the world exists with places where it is dark, or where things can happen out of sight that are not necessarily good for the people making those decisions and doing those things, and the people that get things done to them maybe as a result of all of this thought and decisions. Because, you know, especially under lights, you know, you can easily be scrutinized. It's hard to hide. It's hard to be circumspect. And so you have to change your location, you know. And if your intent is to do ill to someone or something like that, you either have to be in the place where they are and lure them away, or follow them to somewhere where you can do things under cover of darkness. So, you know, I just want to show you something. I wasn't even, I guess I was peripherally realizing this. So this is a book from a different deck than I'm using right now, but I was talking about that skin around a bird's eye, that rougher looking skin. And so this, I don't think is a bird. I think it's a lizard, but they're related. And then it has that surrounding tougher skin. And you know, on a lizard, by the way, it's not going to be covered with feathers, so you can see the rest of a lizard, you may be aware, has sort of a scaly thing going on. And it's not the kind of scale you would find like on your tub or on like your heel. It is like platelets, almost like walkway stones or something, or like a mosaic. But they're smooth and not slimy. They're not wet. They're just smooth. And the only thing I could really can compare it to, I think, is well-polished wood, but softer and warmer. But definitely not sticky or slimy or wet unless they get like water on them or some other thing. But I don't know what significance any of that could possibly have. But I just started and I just wanted to show you that eye thing because I guess I needed to. Anyway, yeah, said all the stuff about that. Anyway, the next card is Aquamarine. Again, a lovely color. Reminds me of tropical seas or a nice swimming pool somewhere. Oh, I love the swimming pool because I just like to float. You needed to know that. Okay, so the subtitle on this card is Expand Connection. The quality of your communication is the quality of your life. So communication and the quality of it. Okay, so let me just read that again. The quality of your communication is the quality of your life. So here's a thing that, God, I mean, I think we all know this from a child's perspective that kind of stays with you. Let's say if you haven't had therapy, like myself, and it is the wounds that you suffer throughout life from the spears and darts that come out of people's mouths, man. And it's not just, I'm not telling anybody anything they don't already know, I'm sure, but it's not just the insult of someone saying an insult to you. It is someone saying something to someone else, and then perhaps you have misjudged the security or the safety of your saying this to someone else, because I'm obviously remembering something, but in that case, I didn't realize that if I said this thing that I just felt honestly about, and I'm not sorry, I still do to this day, but I didn't say it as an insult. It was definitely a character judgment, which that's where communications run into trouble, when it starts becoming a judgment about someone. And in this case, I just said something that I expressed frustration with someone that was clinging to something I felt. And I don't think I get an argument about this that had ended many years before, and the other person had way moved on. Like, they were just like, let it go, you know? And they didn't, to the point where that other, like, it wasn't one of those things that ended where people could still easily and comfortably speak to each other and it not get weird. And I expressed frustration that this person was just not getting that. I mean, not that I didn't understand then unrequited love, and I still understand it now, but I also feel like for the preservation of sanity for everybody involved, it's like holding on to a dead loved one, and so then their spirit is like, yeah, but I got like other stuff to do. I can't just be hanging around and you crying and crying and crying. It's like, I'm gone. Like, get over stop with the crying. Move on with your life, because that's healthy. Like, that's what you should do, and not like have your husband die when you're 19 and then wear black until you die and never recover from it. It's like, that is not what your life is given to you for. Like, don't you see the possibilities? Okay, back to communications though. So right now, what is it, April 17th, 2026, I think we can all agree that what's being said and the way it's being said has led us to places that personally, politically, collectively, we may regret having come here. Well, that's not even a question. I know that things that have been said by the political leadership right now in the United States have only made things worse for themselves and by extension the rest of us. Our reputation is shot. We're just making all of the wrong decisions, and from start to finish, with the front man at the top, just has said awful, like, clinkers, like, even when they landed, like, well, there people were, like, qualifying. I'm not even going to repeat the crap that he said right out of the gate, but for me, that wasn't right out of the gate. That was, like, pre-presidential run that I'm referring to, but he's kind of never had good things to say about a lot of people, and no sort of self-awareness how awful a person that makes you look like, where you're just communicating how awful you think everyone else is. I think a lot of people will agree that when you have a tendency to do that, a tendency to do it, as in you do it all the time, it is a reflection, literally, of how you feel about yourself. However you feel lacking when you're talking to the person you're speaking to, whatever the gender, this dude has always had something crappy to say about people. And it's harder for people that are not like his followers, I guess, to find places where he has something positive to say about someone other than himself. But that's a big one. Personally, I'm sure I'm a blurter. I mean, I've been trying not to be, because guess what? It doesn't land well a lot. You know, like sometimes you just gotta leave the thought in the head oven to finish cooking. You can't just be popping off before you've thought things through. Like, I don't know if it's important to you, but it's important to me, the impact of what I say to someone else. Like, I don't know why this happened, but it felt coincidental. Bliss Guy has been sort of under attack from some kind of DDoS, like, you can't make the connections go through. Like, you're trying to post, and this was weird. It seemed like you couldn't post, and then you could tell that nothing was happening because everything was like 19 to 21 hours old, and there was like no new stuff. And then, like, I couldn't see notifications for a while, and then I couldn't see my homepage for a while, and then I couldn't see my profile page and I wish they would have done this differently. It's not just this particular site, but you'll have that place on there where you can, I guess it's part of your profile page, but it'll have like how many followers and your profile picture and lists and whatever else kind of stuff, like stats, personal stats, I guess. And so I'll often accidentally trigger the area that makes it come over from the side and fill up half of the thing I'm trying to look at, and it's just kind of annoying because look how this thing is. It's hard to hold it without touching it. So, and the one that I'm recording on as well. And so I often have that thing pop over, and it's like, get over. So I think I was just holding my phone. I don't think I was even looking at that one, but it was on that page. It was open to that page, and I bring it in front of me, and that side menu keeps popping over, and I keep trying to hit home, and it's like, nope, and it jumped under my finger. So it was just like going boop, 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 boop. And I was like, thank goodness I have two phones. Thank goodness I wasn't even trying to look at that right now. Now I got lost in the sidetrack, and let me reel it back in. But the impact of your words, I actually got into a huge argument not too long ago with someone because when I just did, when I speak, I now try to take a moment to think about what the hell are you even going to say right now. And so I'm in the middle of explaining something, and this person kept like jumping in and interrupting me, and I'd have to stop and go, no, it's not that. If you let me finish. And so that had been going on. And then I paused for a moment to collect my thoughts so I could say what I wanted to say the right way, as effectively as I could, is what I was trying to do, as I always am when I pause in the middle of speaking. And then she just launches into something else, this whole other thing, and I'm like, wait, am I supposed to pay attention to all of that? I was in the middle of something. And that's what I said. And she goes, well, you paused. And I was like, yeah. So you understand that a pause implies a resumption is going to happen. And she's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, so I have to wait till you go through your whole thing to resume what I was saying? Well, you paused a long time. I was like, what are you talking about? Is there a timer on how long my sentences pause can be and you're in charge of it? What the hell? It devolved quickly. But, right there, communication breakdown, crack up, it just fell apart. And so, in that instance, I was kind of trying to avoid exactly what happened. I was attempting to collect my thoughts so I could say it in a way that wasn't going to offend or trigger, and I just wanted to get my message across and get through something kind of complicated since they had asked. And then that happened. So you just got to kind of, I feel like it's good to take a moment and pause. But, like on Bluesky, for instance, I had just, before this technical attack, whatever, cyber attack, because I guess that's what it was, or is, because I was on there and it's still not quite right today, so a whole day later. Anyway, I guess I was thinking about communication because I had decided, see how long you can be on there and not say a damn thing. How about that for communication? Because a lot of it is name calling and judgment and just a lot of unnecessary, I feel like, tearing people down. I mean, I understand being upset with a situation or whatever, but when it gets personal, that's a different kind of communication. Maybe it should take place under different circumstances, maybe without an audience, or maybe the speaker with the things to say against people would benefit from taking a moment to pause and consider whether you want to, like, leave that mark on your record, like that you want to, like, put that in your record, because when you go to refer to your past, that's going to be there. And I don't know who enjoys being torn apart that way, the way we do to each other. Even if what they've done is terrible and wrong, it's like, you don't have to respond in kind. That's kind of defeats the message, in my opinion, of being like against something that's wrong. This reminds me, please take a moment to take a look at my signs. It just occurred to me I have one up there that probably doesn't even make any sense anymore about the only shows I like is what the sign that would be on your right. I mean, it's going to interrupt myself to talk about this, but I had been doing reviews of shows and I was really enjoying doing it. Nobody was looking at it, and I didn't really realize how much that was the case until recently when I looked at, or I went to look at some of those recordings I had made, and YouTube had taken them away from me, or taken them away for me, I guess. And so I was discouraged, but I had already kind of stopped doing it because I was more doing this, because this is a different thing that I just feel like is more important. But I want to do it, you know? So I was like, well, I don't want to do it on YouTube if they're just going to get rid of it. That sucks. I can record on Blue Sky, though, and so I don't know. I've just been kind of considering trying it there because I haven't done any video on anything but YouTube. Yeah, anyway, I was just thinking about it. You needed to know that. A lot of communication happens, though, when I do a movie or show review. I'm not looking at the stuff that I usually see. It's more along the people stuff, or more along the lines of what it's demonstrating that relates to reality. Anyway, let's move on to the next card, which is Tiger's Eye. I love that one that's right in front, which is the Tiger's Eye stone. But I love cats, and it looks like a cat coat pattern. Anyway, the subtitle on this card is Courage. Like on the number 8 tarot card. Is it the number 8? The Courage card, with the woman holding the lion's mouth open as if she's going to put her face there, and just trusting, and not getting her face eaten off, by the way. So, Courage is the subtitle, and the card reads, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. That seems pretty obvious on the personal level, but I think that it might not hurt to expand that, because what we have in, I'm sure, the world, but as always, I'm going to focus on the United States. And do we have the courage to do things that are out of the ordinary for us, the way that people have been with ICE? And it's not new. Like, there have always been people that have been doing that, but it is seeming like the U.S. government is just against the citizens. And not just our citizens, though. There's equal opportunity offenders in that way. They'll be cruel to anyone from anywhere and have communicatively bad things to say, which is, you're not going to achieve success that way. You're going to run into obstacles and resistance with people, and people that have courage, that will stand up to you even if you have a gun on them, because they know that you're wrong. You got your gun out for the wrong reasons or no reason, and are threatening someone who, according to the laws that every one of us are supposed to observe, they're doing what they're supposed to, and you, for some reason, are called law enforcement and are like just out there pew 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 randomly violent, because it's got to be handed down from the sneaky fish head. That's all I can say. And he has communicated over many years all kinds of violent stuff that he'd like to see happen to other people that didn't actually do anything to him. We're not, like, able to buy a whole newspaper page so the whole world could see how hateful they are about some people they don't even know, but they make a lot of assumptions about. And so mainly what they're communicating is they don't know what they're talking about. But there's a lot of people that jumped on that bandwagon because they share the same, they would have the same kind of communication skills and things to say. So I guess birds of a feather will clump together. But, you know, courage is what is called for right now. You know, the courage to get out and put your body on the street if that's the way that you want to play your part in changing the system, reality. You do have to, like, in some form or fashion, I feel like, get up off your ass and help. It's an all-hands situation. Because, thankfully, we have the example of England going after their criminals and criminals from the E-Files and adjacent disgustingness. You have Hungary booting their wannabe autocrat. Well, not wannabe, he was their autocrat. He was their fascist leader. And they suffered and they said, we've had enough of this crap. And then you got, you know, a war right next door that's trying to suck them in. And if they want to get sucked in, they're going to do it to help the Ukrainians who were attacked because their neighbor and, like, relative, basically, Russia, has just... The leaders, though. Not the people. The people were not having these fights. They don't really care where the border is. If they're just near the people they need to be near and they can get to them, the border's regardless. Like, who cares? You know, like... priorities are divided. So, I would, as an example of courage, hold up the Ukrainians, the whole country, because they've just shown a lot of strength in the face of all of the diversity and ill communications, like, you know, disinformation that's been going out and elevated by our president, which pisses a lot of us off because Ukraine was our ally. We want to help them. We're supposed to help them. We've made contractual agreements and we're reneging. I don't like, that's a bad look. I don't want to have that. So, anyway, moving on to the next card, which is Garnet, my absolute favorite gemstone. Here is a piece to look at. It is warm, but it looks like it has, on this particular photo, a light coming from within. It's, I'm sure, reflected from without. That's how refraction works. It's bent all over. And, you know, isn't it funny how light can just penetrate through the... You know, garnet's a rock, right? And the light is just... It's hitting me. I can just wave through it. I can't put my finger through this card. I certainly can't put one... Here's a garnet. It's a rock. I can't put my finger through that unless I vibrate correctly. Haven't nailed that one yet. Anyway, so the subtitle on this card is Justice. There's just a treasure of garnets. Look at all that booty. Okay, so yes, Justice is the subtitle. Mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. Well, that is an interesting statement because, I mean, I don't disagree. It's more difficult to have mercy against someone that is like an offensive offender. Like, I mean, I hate to single one out. It's been like a group effort for so long. But the example of the serial killer who's become someone that the mother of one of their victims can forgive. Because what's she gonna do? Go out and kill his person? A person that is normal doesn't do that. Doesn't do what the serial killer does. And so, like, that's a big leap. And something that I feel like we have lost sight of the importance of. Like, we don't seem to understand that how is it better for us to retaliate in kind to, like, name calling, for instance? Like, it made you feel so bad that you were inspired to say something awful back, or worse if you can dream it up. And it's like, really? Because, I mean, I understand the impulse, and I've had it for a long time, and it was actually like a social sport for me and my peers growing up, to just like be doing the dozens constantly. But that wears on you. And also, those people you're doing that with, you have a fondness for. You know those people generally, you know. But I am talking about the people that I would see all the time, friends and family. Like, it was constantly sparring, and it was most times okay. But again, sometimes the communication would get messed up with all kinds of other emotions and motivations, and, you know, wanting to, like, control narratives and things like that. So that's not my favorite thing, you know. Like, mean what you say and say what you mean. I know it's hard, and I'm constantly having to, like, correct my course, because I don't want to deviate from that. Like, I need to not have people lying to me anymore. And I know a lot of my fellow citizens in the United States and of the world are sick of people lying to them, especially when it's to the point now where you're not getting things past people anymore. Like, we are onto you. We can see what you're doing, and we want you to stop, I think, is a general attitude that people are sharing. And so, justice for a lot of things, like the e-file stuff, and, like I said, the adjacent offenders, the attached offenders, overlapping offenders, whatever they are, it's a wide network. It's not just one guy or one group. And, like, can I just interrupt myself again? Of course I can. It's my video. Of course I can interrupt myself. But I just want to say that a lot of the stuff that these people were doing, the depravities in the e-files, they supposedly were doing it for, like, to maintain youth and to live forever. And the guy that I'm referring to when I say e-files thought that he should see the world with his DNA. And I look at him and it's like, well, the youth treatments were not working because you got old and you're not looking great. I mean, he doesn't look as bad as Trump. But, whatever he was doing, it wasn't keeping him young. And, by the way, yuck, that, like, I don't want to share my DNA with someone that wants to enslave people, basically, and eugenicize society. Like, this guy is gonna decide who's what, and who lives and who doesn't, and I'm telling you, They may not all be released unredacted, but there's a lot out there that you can find out. I don't know, like, it may not come on a serving platter, but it's out there to be had. And the it I'm referring to is the way that those people with lots of zeros behind the first number on their bank accounts feel like that gives them license to dehumanize everyone else, make you live hard lives, poison you just for the heck of it. Just like, let me just screech over in the road to, like, take the penis off of some roadkill so I can examine it later. Like, that's perfectly alright. It's not. It's weird. You're not even qualified. What are you looking for, weird perv? Hey, he put it out there. He's the one that so proudly said the stuff, so... Not, I mean... That is some name calling I just did, but it was descriptive. Like I said, I'm working on it too. It's hard not to have an opinion. But that person that I'm laughing about actually is dangerous. People have died because of his health recommendations that he, reading stuff off the internet and having somebody that is a doctor, maybe a real one or not. Like, I don't know where he's getting his information from, but I would venture to say that he was absolutely wrong about taking away the measles vaccine, judging from the deaths of people. So, justice needs to be served there. He needs to learn where he did wrong, and he needs to pay somehow, because, right now that's how our system works, for the deaths that he's caused. I don't know what kind of legal terminology you want to use there, but I don't think it really matters. Some people have some kids that wouldn't be dead, but for his getting rid of the vaccine or making the vaccine extremely difficult to access. So, there does need to be justice there. Unfortunately, he's of a class where he can buy his way out of situations. But you know what that means is that rather than going down the route where you just have nothing but bad things to say about this person, you could let cosmic nature or divine nature, cosmic justice or divine justice take its course, because it will. He's done enough other things. He's done wrong by people, institutions or organizations. He's gonna pay in some way. It may not be, what we are angrily barking for, but once we calm down, we will see the justice in it, because in some of these cases where these people can escape justice, justice will alternatively find a way to serve itself upon them. And I think that, especially if we can stay in our own personal here and nows and just take care of our own business, we will at some point get to see something happen where we'll feel like we got the justice that we were all calling for. And I just want to say, the law, I think, has a place, but I think it needs to be amended so that it's not protecting so many people that can buy their way out of situations that would put a lot of people that can't do that away for a long time. And they tend to get slammed really hard with sentences depending on their race. It's true. Okay, so the last card is Carnelian, and I came out here this is the morning, and I woke up at 4, and I didn't want to, but the cat was throwing himself at the window screen. So yeah, I've been up for almost 5 hours, and I came in here, and I have some of this, but I don't know why. I sat down here, and I said Carnelian, and I'm like, okay, I have some. Where is it? So it's either right in front of me somewhere, but I don't think it is, because I have other stones up here. I haven't seen that one here for a while. I think it's behind me. It's probably around that candle, actually. The tin that the candle's sitting on, I think that's where it is. Because I didn't know why, that just popped into my head. So I'm, drawing these cards from the deck, and this was the last one, and it just made me laugh, because it's Carnelian. I guess I'm going to find out why I was so interested in it when I sat down for no reason. That was the last thing on my mind. I'm over here cursing the cat for waking me up with that noise. When I'm over there and I roll in here and I've got doorway syndrome or something. Forgot all about the cat and was all Carnelian. What? So anyway, here is a picture of it. It reminds me of a coffee bean before it's roasted, or I don't know, some other kind of bush berry. Anyway, the card says, oh, sorry, God, you can barely see the subtitle. It's the same color as the Carnelian, but the subtitle is Explore. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the things you did do. By the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. Well, that's interesting. Explore. What kind of exploration? New horizons. So, okay, I guess that is referring to we are headed to places that I don't know that anybody alive really has been before. I was talking, I think in my last video, or just here to myself, I can't really remember, but I was talking about how we haven't seen a time, sorry, I didn't mean to blank out. We haven't seen a time where we were just happy, and it was everyone in the world was, and they didn't have complaints or needs to, name call, have miscommunications, say things that change people's courses and wreck lives, basically. All of the stuff I've been talking about, I guess. And so I think we can expect some things, I was saying, about people that can buy their way out of legal situations where they're in trouble. And so the justice won't feel to the rest of us like we got served the justice that we feel like we deserve, or people that were harmed in some way deserve. But I also said, and I don't know if I finished the thought, but there are laws out there, but I think there need to be amendments so that they are effective, because I feel like for especially people that can sort of buy their way out of situations they got themselves into that would put anybody else away forever, or death penalty or something like that, the laws are written that way. They're written in such a way that it's easy for rich people to get out of, it seems like. or it seems like it just doesn't say enough to like get everyone that's guilty in a situation where they can be collected and jailed and put under trial. So the laws are written so that like rich people that can buy their way out of situations, it's easy for them. Like I feel like they're written that way on purpose so that they can get out of stuff that they are definitely gonna do, because money and power equals, they think, no guardrails. But that illusion has to end, because that's not justice for everyone else. That's not justice. That's spoiled people controlling the narrative. So anyway, that's going to be an interesting exploration. I feel like changing the laws in that particular way is going to encounter some pushback, but so what? It needs to happen, because I've said it once and I'll say it again. The rich people are breaking stuff that they come into contact with that affect everyone else. And the thing about exploration and sailing away is you leave stuff behind. And if you're sailing away on a boat or a spaceship, it is a time of contemplation. You definitely are occupied with, like, what do they call it on Star Trek? The systems that keep everybody breathing good air and having water and stuff. I'm blanking out, but you want those, especially in a situation where you're at sea and there's no, like, Quickie Mart. You know what I'm saying? There's no supermarket. There's no, well, you're not using gas. Well, you might. Boats do use gas, but I'm thinking of sails. I guess sailboats can have both. Whatever. The point is you get to a certain point out to sea, and unless a tanker drives by you, you run out of gas, you better hope there's no holes in your sails. You know what I'm saying? Let me be clear about what I'm saying. I'm saying you can get out there and not have all of the mod cons and the instant graphs that you can get if you're on land in a city, for instance. You're sailing into unknown waters, perhaps. Like, maybe you're not the captain, but maybe you're a passenger who's just never been out to sea like that before. Metaphorically, though, we are kind of all out to sea in new situations. And so, I think it is a good time to think about, or rethink about, justice and who and how we apply it to. I think it's an opportune time, a necessary time, to pull out our courage. I relate to cats, but I would suggest that whatever ferocious beast gives you inspiration before you walk out of your safe house every day, embody that, because, you know, it's not just, it's more than the courage that you need every day to walk out the door of your safe home, right? This is philosophical. This is impactful for not just you, but everyone around you. Excuse me a second, I'm about to choke, apparently. But it is a time where justice is good and all of that, but on our voyage of exploration, what we are collectively heading toward is an upgrade, basically. And to make that next level upward, we gotta go out to sea and experience life without the training wheels and the safety net, because really that's what we do every day. We just frame it in safe little cubicles and boxes, and you know, the world is sort of baby proofed in a lot of ways. It's dangerous, yes, but I mean, we go out and interact and move in the spaces and go where we have to go and do what we have to do every day, which also takes courage that we don't even like consider. We don't even think about it. Like, if you live or work in a bad neighborhood, or you're someplace at night and mostly everybody else is asleep or cleared away or gone home or whatever it is, that could be an unsafe situation. As a woman, it definitely would feel unsafe. But it's the world that we routinely live in. And so we have courage every day. We do it all of the time. We just have to sometimes find a little bit more, go a little bit deeper, explore out of beyond known waters and comfort zones, and expand our connections, make new ones, learn new things. And while you're out at sea, out in space, you have a lot of work to do to stay alive, but you have time to think, to rethink, to reconsider, and prepare your shape for the new places we're gonna build in the future. Thank you and good night.